Korean fried chicken in burger form might be one of my all-time favorite things to eat. I first started eating Korean fried chicken when I was traveling a lot to Brisbane in Queensland of all places a long time ago. There's a lot of really good Korean restaurants there. It was always in these Korean like barbecue kind of restaurants, but they always had really delicious fried chicken. I was always a fan of the chili one or the garlic one. I think turning it into a burger was probably an invention, I'm guessing, this is not fact, but I'm guessing from like the Koreatown part of Los Angeles. I've spent quite a bit of time there, incredible Korean restaurants there and huge Korean community. And it kind of checks out that America kind of turned it into a burger. However, I don't even know if that's actually true, so. Anyway, first things, this is one of those kind of recipes where there's quite a few things, but it's not that hard. There's just a few things to get kind of right. First one is marinating our chicken. So we've got garlic and ginger, and then we're going to use some chicken thighs. Make sure you get all that good stuff off the back of the grater. So finely grate your garlic and ginger into a bowl, and then add our chicken thighs. We're going to season that at the moment just with salt and fresh ground black pepper. We're going to mix it really well, and then we're just going to set that aside, chuck it in the fridge for like an hour while we get everything else ready, including the sauce that we're going to kind of put this in once we fry it, which we'll get done next. So I'm going to shove this in the fridge, wash my hand, and then we'll start pulling the sauce together. Okay, so our sauce that our chicken's going to go on once it's fried, pretty simple to pull together. I should turn that on a low heat for the time being. I'm going to add some peanut oil or any neutral flavored oil will work to a saucepan or a saucier like this. And then we're going to get in our garlic first of all, and we want to start like lightly toasting it. Well, not toasting it, but lightly sauteing it, just to kind of get rid of some of that that raw garlic flavor. Quite a lot of garlic, especially kind of, a lot of Korean food relies on quite a lot of garlic, and I love it. But I think it's important when you're using this much just to kind of give it a bit of time under heat to make sure that it's not super, super strong. Garlic goes quite sweet when you cook it. I think a lot of people have this misconception that when you use a lot of garlic, it's going to taste like you're eating a lot of raw garlic, and it's not. And then, so once we've made this, we can let it cool, and then we'll roll our fried chicken in it before we start assembling our burger. So we're going to pull it together now. You don't want it cold, but you don't want it piping hot when we toss our chicken through it. You want it, well, probably a bit warmer than cold. Because if it is cold, it'll kind of seize up. Whereas if it's room temperature or hotter, when we put our hot fried chicken in it, A, it won't cool down our chicken, and B, we're trying to like coat the outside of the fried chicken. You don't want it to like absorb heaps of the sauce. So we're just going to saute our garlic for, it doesn't take long, right? You do not want to burn this garlic either. So get the garlic in there, move it around. You're going to smell it's going to become lovely and fragrant. And at this point, we're going to add our salt. Salt will help break down the garlic as well. Once you feel like you've kind of, it's not smelling like a crazy loaf of garlic bread, we can start adding everything else. So, first of all, we're going to add some rice wine vinegar. The reason we do that first is we kind of want to burn off a bit of that acidic flavor. And maybe that's just, me making stuff up in my head, but that makes sense to me. Then, the base for our sauce, gochujang, which is fermented Korean chili bean paste, become very common now throughout the Western world. For good reason, it's absolutely delicious. This sauce here is something that you can just make. I always make extra. This will make more than I need for the 4 burgers that we're going to make today, or that this recipe makes. But this in your fridge is delicious. You have a bit of grilled chicken over rice, put some of this on it. Lots of uses. So stir that through your vinegar garlic mix just to kind of let it down a bit and start cooking some of those kind of real stronger flavors out a little bit. And then after that, we're going to add ketchup. This recipe is made with ketchup, not tomato sauce if you live in Australia or New Zealand. While the two are very similar, they do have quite a, tomato sauce tends to be a little bit sweeter and a little bit thinner. So by all means, if you have tomato sauce, don't run out and feel like you need to buy ketchup just to make this recipe. But it might be a little bit sweeter. If that's the, and you don't want it too sweet, maybe pull some of the honey out. Speaking of honey, in goes some hot honey. Again, hot honey is a great addition, I think. If you don't have hot honey, you can just add normal honey. No problem at all. There will be enough spice in the gochujang as well. Stir that through. We've got a little bit of water just to let it down a bit. We don't want this super thick. We also want to cook it out for a bit. So when we cook things like this, naturally moisture evaporates and stuff thickens. So if we kind of counter that with the water at the start, it'll get back to the thickness that we're looking for once we've simmered it. And then soya sauce. This is a Korean soya sauce. Again, I highly encourage you, if you're cooking Korean food, to use Korean soya sauce. However, do not feel like you need to go out and buy this just to make this recipe. A kikkoman or a Japanese soy sauce or a Chinese soy sauce. If you're using a Chinese soy sauce, I'll be using a light Chinese soy sauce as opposed to a dark one. And contrary to popular belief, light soy sauce is actually a little bit saltier than dark soy sauce. Dark soy sauce tends to be thicker and a little bit sweeter. We are going to bring that up to a simmer and just cook that out for 10 to 15 minutes, and then we can kind of let it cool down at ambient temperature. While that's doing its thing, I'm going to have a quick clean up and then we'll start making the rest of the garnish. So our chili sauce is cooking nicely, and I just want to give you a little hot tip from the restaurant world, or the restaurant kitchen world, is that it's actually important to use one of these Maurices to scrape down your sides. And the reason being is that that's going to cook and caramelize, and it's going to make your sauce a little bit lumpy. Now, it might feel a little bit particular, but you know, if you're going to do it right. So we used to always get told off for not, for having like dirty sides of our saucepan. You can see here already, I'll turn this around so you can see it then. Then here, that's all caramelized already. And if you kind of let that keep going, you can kind of start affecting the flavor of your sauce. So try and keep your sides clean. That's simmering away nicely. Also, never leave your Maurice in your pan or you'll get told off as well. A bit of PTSD coming out there. We used to always not even be allowed to keep them in there. You'd have to keep them in a banyan like that. Anyway, let that do its thing. While that's happening, we're going to start doing the pickled cucumbers. So in our saucepan, we've got vinegar and water. Real simple pickling mixture. Sugar and salt. And there's a little bit of chili sauce in my salt. So now we're going to have a bit of chili sauce in there too. All we need to do is to bring that up to a simmer and dissolve our sugar and our salt. And while that's happening, we've got a couple of washed telegraph cucumbers, and we're simply just going to peel the outsides. Once you see the seeds, move around. The seeds are super watery. We don't really want them in there. People often give me grief for that in the comments. They're like, oh, you're wasting so much. But yeah, it is a little bit wasteful. However, I think the best thing to do with these seeds is to eat them and not have them in your pickle. And the reason you don't want them too wet in there is because you can see how different that texture is from, from the seed section to that thick core part. So, yum. Nice snack. I'll stop eating that because you will hear really loud chewing noises, which is also something I get grief for. Anyway, peel these and turn that up a bit. And then we're just simply going to pour that pickling mixture over the top and let it sit. Let them get to room temperature. You can make this a day ahead or a couple of days ahead. I prefer to have them kind of pretty fresh, kind of a quick pickle, as opposed to like we're not going to let them sit in there. But if you're pickling this properly, you'd be kind of salting this, rinsing the salt off to kind of draw moisture out, etc., etc. We're not too stressed about that today. Kind of a quick pickle Reminds me very similar. My mum used to always make quick pickled cucumbers like this and for summer barbecues, so reminds me of mum. Make sure you keep your sauce moving. Scrape down your sides. I'm actually going to turn the heat off. That's like the right consistency right there. It's not really thick, you know. We're going to pour our fried chicken into this. If it's too thick, you're going to have too much sauce stuck to it. So that's a good amount. Scrape the sides down. Leave that off the heat until we're ready to use it once we've fried our chicken. If it's gone a bit cold in the meantime, you can put a bit more heat in it, but that should be fine. Our pickling liquid is boiled, sugar and salt has dissolved. Pour that over our sliced cucumbers. Make sure that they're fully submerged with our chili spoon and leave them to the side. Let them cool down completely. Once they're cold, you can pop them in the fridge. You don't want these hot when you put them in the sandwich. You also don't really want them super cold, but that doesn't matter. I'd rather them cold than hot. Leave those aside. Let's make a slaw. I'm going to eat my cucumber now. So we're going to make a slaw to go with the burgers as well. First up, we'll make the dressing, so that's ready to go. We've got some gochugaru, which is a Korean chili flake. And that goes into a jar, along with some more hot honey, some more rice wine vinegar, a little bit of sesame oil, another big flavor often used in Korean cooking, and some soy sauce. It's quite a light dressing. We don't want to, we're not making like a Caesar salad or something here. We don't want a heavy dressing. We don't want it super sweet either. We want it pretty savory. So you got to think about a lot of flavors going on in this burger. We do want to dress it with something, but nothing too crazy. We'll put that stuff aside, and then we'll start doing the bulk of the work. I don't know what I'm doing there. It's all going on. The bulk of the work for the salad. So here I've already got some wombok or some Napa cabbage. That's a small one. I've finely chopped. It's probably a bit more than I need actually. So probably half a normal size one will be enough for the amount of burgers we're doing. And then we've got some spring onions, which we're going to finely chop. So just take the tops off, and then we will finely slice all the way up. I like to do it at an angle, and I like to use the claw, especially with spring onions. Helps you guide your blade, kind of slowly work your way through it. And we're just going to do the whole lot. So the white end, the green end, kind of like for like quite a leafy part. And I think as you get deeper, you can probably cut them slightly thicker. I think the white part especially, you want to cut quite fine, just so you don't get like really large bits of spring onion in your slaw. Then we will do the garlic chives. I'll talk about garlic chives in a second, because there's some alternatives for garlic chives. Let's get through all these spring onions. Add them to the bowl. On my bench scraper, and that goes. Okay, garlic chives. These smell, unsurprisingly, like garlic. Now, you should be able to find these if you live near an Asian supermarket or a grocer. We're going to cut these, similar to the spring onions, cut the end parts that are thick, a little bit thinner. And then once we get to the kind of leafy parts, we're going to cut about 1 centimeter pieces. Now, if you can't find garlic chives, you can just use ordinary chives, or you can just leave it out as well altogether. I do like the kind of flavor that the garlic chives give, but sometimes they are a bit harder to find. We're really lucky down here in Australia to have, I think people probably sometimes get, especially my American fans, not confused, but a little bit perplexed about why I cook so much Asian food. But it's because of where we live in the world. You know, we're right down the bottom. We are really close to all of Southeast Asia, the Pacific Islands. So we're just exposed to this food really early on. So we got our dressing. It doesn't seem like much dressing, but that's more than enough to dress that salad. We're not going to dress it just yet. We will dress this as soon as we are kind of had our second fry on our chicken, or even after our first fry on our chicken, because you don't want to dress your salad until the last possible moment within reason. So we've got this ready. We've got our pickled cucumbers ready. Our sauce is ready. Let's get the chicken frying. We'll talk about buns, and then we can assemble. Nice. All right, we're at the cooking part. So this is when everything comes together. We've got buns ready. We've got some butter melted to help toast our buns. We've got a pan on. It's not even on, but we've got a pan ready to toast our buns. Our sauce is at a good temperature. So we need to dredge our chicken in our starches. So we're going to use potato starch, 50%, and 50% normal flour. Now, if you are someone who's not into gluten, or your stomach's not into gluten, you can just do it all on potato starch, or you could replace the flour, the wheat flour, with rice flour if you wanted to. We will just stir this, just so it's even, and we don't need to season this. Unlike, you can if you want to, but think about it. Our chicken's seasoned, it's been in the fridge for an hour. Our sauce is highly seasoned. This is just the vehicle to protect the chicken from cooking and make a mess. Well done, Andrew. So that's mixed. We'll leave that aside. We've got our chicken. This is the messy part. So the first fry is messier than the second fry. I think it's worth either, if you don't like getting really messy hands, putting a pair of gloves on, but using your hands for this, okay? 2 eggs into our marinated chicken. It's actually probably not, you probably only could 1.5 eggs, although 1.5 eggs is not possible, so just use 2 eggs. It's probably a little bit much, but that's okay, and I just drop that and I'll get it in a second. So this is the messy part. Our oil was at 150, will be 160 by the time we get in there. We're just going to stir our chicken into the egg. What came first, chicken or the egg, who knows? And then we'll dredge it really well. So once we've got our chicken in, take it out into the flour. Okay, one wet hand, one dry hand. Put it in, push it down, leave it to one side, make sure there's lots of flour on it. Get another piece because we want to double crumb this. Okay, this is messy, but it's worth it, I promise. That's 3. Oh no, I just made my dry hand my wet hand. Oh, it's just been a disaster. All right, well, they're both the same now. Last one. Now, we really want to get that bottom one because like these wheats and stuff are, they're hydrating as we speak. So flip your pile over, push all your flour to one side. Take our already crumbed chicken and just dip it back in the remaining of the egg mixture, and then back into more flour. Okay, because we want to get a really good coating on that. Push it in there. And a lovely kind of breading vibes going on there, getting all those cracks and crevices. Tap off any excess, and this is what we're looking for, all these like crackly bits into our oil. Now for this pot, probably only do 2 at once. So go through, you're going to cook them for about 5 or 6 minutes. We're not trying to cook them all the way through. We're just trying to set that batter at this point. Actually, those 2 eggs are probably good, actually. I lied to you. Into there, and the last ones are actually always the best ones because you get all these like craggly bits in the flour. In that goes 5 or 6 minutes. We'll pull them out, let them rest, and then we do the last fry at 190. But I'll continue doing these 2 pieces, and then we'll come back when we're ready for the final fry. First fry's done. Chicken looks a little bit anemic, and that's okay. That's what we want. We want to get this oil up to 190 now, okay? So it's actually pretty close already there. We will cook those second fry at 190, and then we're going to plunge them into the chili sauce before we start putting our burgers together. So to do that, first things first, we need to make sure our buns are toasted. So this is a potato roll. I think this type of soft roll works really well. I think because of the amount of texture going on, you don't need a robust bun for this. So these potato rolls work really well. Important that we toast it though, and the reason that it's super important that we toast it is because it protects the bun from going soggy. So to toast, we need to get some butter on there. That's going to help it toast evenly on both sides. And then we've got a stainless steel pan coming up to kind of a medium temperature, and we'll toast it reasonably well. You want a good barrier between all this lovely sauce and liquid and the bun. We don't want a bun to go soggy. No one likes a soggy bun, do they? So let that pan get a little bit hotter, and then they'll go in. We can only fit 2 things in there at a time, but that's okay, because we can only fit 2 pieces of chicken in there at a time. So we'll just focus on making 2. Bun in, leave it there for a second. After a couple of seconds, move your buns around in your pan. You're going to get a more even toast. Okay. While those are toasting, we can dress our salad. So we've got our 1 box slaw, our dressing that we made. Get all of that in there. It's not a super heavily dressed salad. Give it a good mix. Evenly coat. All those lovely flavors coming together. We've got our pickled cucumbers. One thing we can do for our cucumbers now is just kind of get them out of there, out of the liquid, so that when we go to put them on our burger, we don't have heaps of pickling liquid coming out of our cucumbers. So pull those out, put them into a separate jar, put that aside. All right, see how these buns are doing. They get in there slowly. We can start making sure our oil's nice and hot, and we'll start the second fry. So we're looking for 190 Celsius, and then we can put those in. It's important that it's at 190 or even slightly above, because it's going to drop in temperature. Not too much this time because of this stuff's already hot, but we just want to get good crisp and finish cooking our chicken. Just be really careful with oil. The truth is that pot is too full. Probably shouldn't have quite that much oil in there. We've got our sauce ready. Make sure there's a little bit of heat in that sauce so it's not too cold and stiff. Now there's 2 ways to attack the sauce. You can kind of brush it on, or you can kind of dunk the whole thing in. I think brushing on is probably the more delicate way of doing it. And you can get a bit more even. So to do that, we're going to get a pastry brush, and we'll kind of dab it pretty liberally. Let's have a look at our buns. That's what we're looking for. Nicely toasted bun. That one's bang on. Bonza. Leave that to the side. Make sure this guy's nice. Got another tray here that we can use for dabbing. Flip this over, make sure that we've got nice crispy even color on all sides. Probably should have used a bigger pot for deep frying, but that's all right. I'm deep frying here in peanut oil as well. I really like using peanut oil for deep frying. I think it works really, really well. Completely neutral flavor. So we're looking for nice crispiness, good color, and we can start making these burgies. And I think a chicken burger, a fried chicken burger, the chicken should completely oversize the bun. I think it's different for a beef burger, but a chicken burger should be coming out the sides. Like it should be obnoxiously large for the bun. That sauce is ready to go. Chicken's looking good. Out that comes. Let it drain off for a second. It is important that we do get the sauce on there while it's still hot, however. Dab it on there pretty generously. So the only real issue is you can definitely dunk this whole thing in there, and it works, but it usually requires quite a lot more sauce. So it works in like restaurants where they're making a lot more sauce. I think if you're doing it at home, it's probably easier and a little bit cleaner just to do it like this. But dab it on pretty generously. It'll soak it all up. Now make sure, where'd my tongs go? Here they are. Flip it over and get both sides. You want this thing completely covered in red. Yum, you can smell it. It smells sweet and vinegary and crispy, crispy. Get all the sides. I'm salivating. Okay, that's almost done. Time to start assembling our burgers. You stay there, don't you go too far away. So, bottom bun, coleslaw. Get some on there too. If it falls out the side, that's okay. It means it's covered nicely. Next, some pickled cucumbers for some lovely sharpness. Cut through all that fat. And then our crowning jewel, should say, the chicken. And one last thing for the top is just a little bit of mayonnaise for some creaminess on the top bun. There you go. That is a crazy looking chicken burger. Okay, I'm gonna do a cross section because I don't want to look like an absolute animal, even though I will anyway. But that looks pretty good to me. This is gonna be so messy. All right, I'm going in. I want the chicken first. One more bite. Probably should have put a plate under me. It's delicious. It's hot, salty, sweet, spicy, full of garlic, great texture. What is not to like about that? Make your friends Korean fried chicken burgers and they'll love you forever. Thanks for watching. See you next week for another recipe. Excuse me while I destroy this burger. Yum. It's really hot though.